My name is Obayda Jamal. I'm 29 years old. I'm a professional landscape photographer. So most of you now are wondering what is my job exactly, what it means to be a landscape photographer. But it's okay. My mom also doesn't know what I'm doing in my life. So let's go back 10 years when I was in high school. In high school, I had a dream to be a teacher. Okay, don't judge me now, but in my village, I live in Jad village. Most of the people there are doctors and teachers. So one of my biggest dreams to be a teacher. So there is a saying in my village, says that if you throw a rock, it will land on a doctor or a teacher. So a lot of them doctors. So I finished high school. I started working in a in a ceramic store for 2 years. And for the first month, I bought my first camera. It was Fujifilm. It was like a dream for me. It was $200 almost. And having my own camera, it was like something big because I was related to my family. Everything I used, it was related to my family. And suddenly I have my own camera that I can use for my own stuff. So it was something big for me. And then I was taking a lot of photos. You saw this, like the same photos on internet. It was like very, very, very usual photos, not unique. Ducks, some sunset. This was my first ever photo that I ever took. First photo in my camera. And then I was taking some macro shots and things like that. Then I started learning photography on YouTube, watching some wild series, National Geographic, and a lot of things. And I was also always wondering how all these footages are made, because it was something big, it was something unique. So I was learning on YouTube how to take some same photos and same videos that I saw in National Geographic. And I was loving the photography so much. I was taking my photo everywhere, every place. In family visits, in shopping, everywhere. People were looking at me like some strange guy who was going around with his camera. And I started sharing my photos on Facebook. People were loving this, and people were very impressed. So I got my first 100 followers. This was 10 years ago. So it was like, wow, I have 10 people who follow my works. So it was something new for me. And then I started at Wingate College. I'm a physical education teacher. I finished in Wingate College, and during the 4 years in Wingate, I had always this thoughts that this is not the place that I want to be. It like I don't want to be in schools for 50 or 60 years in my life. So I was also thinking how to say to my parents that I don't want to work as a teacher, because all the village are teachers. So I had this complicated moments that how to say to my family that photography is gonna be my job, and schools is not the place that I want to be in my life. So for me it was complicated because I didn't know where to start, because a landscape photographer doesn't have a job. During the 4 years in Wingate, I was taking a lot of crazy shots, weird shots, like this. But it now when I'm looking at these photos, it means a lot for me. Like this is where I started, and this is a very, very like loved photos for me, because I was building some weird things to take photos. I had no money to buy like a softbox or something. So I was building my own softbox at home. This was my first softbox that I did, and it was like something good. I was taking a lot of photos like this, sunset, everything. I was taking photos for everything. Everything was new for me. Like this. And then I had to choose how to start my life. It's okay, I started photography. I need to have some income to live my life. So I was very complicated how to do that. So I was very scared, especially when I went to my family and say to them that I don't want to work as a teacher and I want to be a landscape photographer. And they were looking at me like, you're gonna be homeless, you're gonna be, you have no work, you have nothing. So I had to work on something after Wingate College, in something that related to photography. So I started to work on anything but schools, just to have some time to prove to my family that photography can be more than a hobby. So I did my first ever photography course. It was for 5 people, and they were very happy, very satisfied, and they recommended my course to other friends, and other friends, and other friends has come. So I was new. People knew me as a landscape photographer, as a professional photographer in the village. So in retrospect, I believe that I was something unique that time, because I took a lot of unique photos for every day for a long time. So, and I think I was the first Palestinian guy who did a time-lapse video, a project. It was for 1 year almost, and I don't know if you know what is time-lapse is.
Well, it's a series of photos every day or every hour.
Every hour or every day. It's like taking 300 or 400 or 1,000 photos every second or every 2 seconds or every minute, and then you're gonna have like a tons of photos that you pass very fast, and they will be like a video. And I think you saw that on videos on TV or something, and it's like this a very basic time lapse. Now every phone can do a time lapse, but it's like a video and they fast it. But if we're going to the professional way, it's like taking photos, as we said before, and then going to a video editor or something. So I started traveling in the country more and more and take some real photos until I decided to go big and to travel to Europe, start camping in Europe. So I traveled to Europe for the first time, and it was a long period of time. And then I went to the Arctic. It was very unique. A place full of nature, full of unique places. I hiked a lot. I stayed in unique places. I visited a lot of places that there is no people there. Like you will have just a small village here and small village there. It was very unique, and I never dreamed to see the Northern Lights. The Northern Lights was like something unique. You just look at the sky and you see those those green lights dancing in the sky, something that I can describe to you. You should see in your naked eye. There's another shot for the Northern Lights. I never dreamed to be in Iceland in summer, and it's like I was there for 1 week with no nights, just day. There was no night. I lived in my Jeep in Kia Sportage. It was just day when I went to sleep, I was closing the whole windows on the car because it's a day, it's not night. And then this photo, for example, it was like 3 a.m. midnight. It's called midnight sun, this phenomena, and it's very unique. I never dreamed to be in a place like this when I started photography. This video was at 3 or 4 a.m. when I was heading home at airport. So look at the sky, it's sunset. So the sunset was going for 6 or 7 hours. It's like the sun goes down until the horizon and it starts going up again. And I never dreamed to have a second place in a photography contest on National Geographic. So this was a story, a National Geographic Your Shot story, and it published in National Geographic website. I never dreamed to be in a place like this when I started photography. This shot was taken in Tel Aviv, I think 8 years ago, and I submitted this photo 5 or 4 years ago, and it got published. So I started traveling a lot and a lot and a lot in Europe. I had a lot of support from my family, my parents, my 3 sisters who gave me a lot of inspire and they motivated me. And then I met a guy who called Anas, building his own photography school. So he invited me to be a teacher in his school, and I started teaching there for 1 or 2 years, and then I became the manager of Qumra. This is the name of the school, and now Qumra is the steady income for me. It was and still my steady income. So I started doing workshops around the world, in Europe, in North Norway, and a lot of other places. Photographers around the world are coming to my workshops to make their dreams come true, to see the Northern Lights, and to capture it, to see the Milky Way. This shot was taken in Israel, in the desert. So it's something unique. People were coming to see some unique places like this. Imagine that you are standing here above the clouds. So it's something that you can't imagine in your head. People are coming to visit a lot of places, unique places. And all I remember now is my mom helping me taking photos like this at home when I start photography. She was throwing a lemon inside a cup just to make this unique shots. So when I started photography, I was taking a lot of photos at home, not outside. I didn't afford that I can travel outside the country, so I was taking a lot of photos inside the country and even at home. So all I remember now, those tough moments that I had to decide between a very adventurous life or a normal life as a teacher. So people now on Instagram supporting me a lot. Like all I do now is a lot of support from my followers on Instagram. Imagine that I had 100 likers or followers at first, and I was very happy. Now I got a lot of support here, and people here are pushing me to do another trip and another trip and another trip. But sometimes you get some troubles. I lost my camera in my first day at Iceland, and it was my first trip there ever. Like in the first day and in the first trip to Iceland, it was something that I can't describe. I lost it. It was like $5,000, more than $5,000. It was night, Northern Lights in front of me. I was looking at the camera, at the Northern Lights, and the camera is like near a cliff. And then suddenly I'm looking, and the camera fell out from the mountain. It was something that I can't describe. I went to the car. I started crying like babies. Really, it was something that I lost everything. For me, camera was everything, and I went to Iceland for the first time to take photos for the Northern Lights. And suddenly I'm just looking at the Northern Lights without a camera. So it's very bad. I had to sleep, just camping, bathing in the lakes for 10 days without food, without anything, because sometimes I went to a very high places like mountains and I had no more food, like no more, everything finished. So it was something that people can't sometimes handle it. So, but everything that I describe now is obstacles, but it can be forgettable once you see the results. So I'm gonna show you a video that I made. It took me 2.5 years to make it. It was a time-lapse video project and in 4K. After this video, a big company contacted me from Canada and they bought the whole video. And then companies around the world started to take some videos and sponsored a travel for me to travel more and more and take photos and videos. So here come 4 minutes of a time-lapse video. So this project was like 2.5 years of tough working. And all I can say before I finish, it's always hard work pays off. Like when I started photography, I didn't know what I'm doing in my life, really. And now when I see at my goals, achievement after achievement after achievement, if I want to say something before I finish, it's gonna be like a success is not a big step and one step you take it once. It's like a step after step after step, and between each step you're gonna reward it with small achievements that leads you to a bigger achievement. That's it. Thank you so much. Questions?
Yeah. First of all, nice work. Photography is becoming more and more widespread. Like
Famous.
a lot of people are picking up cameras and doing amazing stuff. And I wanted to ask, like, first of all, what do you do to put yourself out there and make yourself more visible, like to more followers? Because there's a lot of good photographers, but marketing is probably part of the
Yeah.
deal of getting people to see your work.
Especially around the world. Like, I don't know, in Israel, it's like every photographer knows who's the photographers here. Like, I think I know most of the famous photographers here in Israel. Like, we all knows each other. But outside the country, it's like something that you must fight to be like a to put your name on the lead. Like I remember I was following a guy called Daniel Corden. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. So for me, he was like a dream, and I was in Norway, northern Norway, one day, and I at night taking photos for the Northern Lights, and suddenly I heard his voice. So I didn't see him. I just hear his voice, and then I went to his place and I talked to him, and we started to be like a friends, and he started to give me some like a tips to be more and more and more famous on Instagram and all social media. So you have to be unique. Like you have to show your work. It's not like going on Instagram and ask people to follow you without having a portfolio. Like you should have a very unique portfolio to improve to people that you are something different. So this is why I started traveling around the world. Like in Israel, I had some great photos, but in some places you can't be more creative in a landscape photography. In something else, there is a lot of things to do here, but in a landscape photography, you have to travel around the world just to take some unique shots. So, for example, in the south here in Israel, I took a lot of Milky Way shots, and it was very unique. But except more than that, I had to travel around the world.
How come you didn't start out doing what a lot of photographers do, which is taking photos of weddings and events and things like that to pay your bills and doing other photography on the side? Were you ever pushed, or did you ever feel the need to do that?
I did that once. It was a wedding, and it was a friend forced me to go to a wedding and take photos. It was a very bad idea, really. I hate that. I hate taking photos for people. Like this is not me. Like I was very related to a landscape and nature. Till now, when I travel in nature, I'm something else. Like I just be in nature and looking, and I can be for example the photo that you saw on Iceland when I was standing in front of the mountain. I was there for 8 or 10 hours in the same place. People were asking me, what are you doing there? I was just looking at the beautiful place and just looking. So it's I don't know. I can't describe it. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure, and nice to meet you all.